Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. I don't know if I even started this video yesterday. I don't think I did. Today's Saturday, August 15th. I don't know if you can hear the thunder and lightning and rain. There hasn't been any thunder and lightning since I turned on the mic. There's a little bit of thunder, but you can't hear. You might be able to hear that one. But it's raining again. We've had basically biblical rain. Our big pond is completely filled up, which never is. It's the first time ever in August where it was overflowing. It drains out during the summer as it dries up and then fills up in the spring, a little bit in the fall. And then, after the winter is over, when the ground's frozen, the water just flows in there when there's big rains in the spring. But anyways, um, I had another, hard thing for those of you who've been following my health stuff last night or yesterday, which is almost hilarious because I said when I was, I mentioned that I haven't had anything happen. It feels like it's gone. And then as soon as I say it, it's happened 3 times now where I've said, I've been doing really good, I feel better. Maybe even more than that. And then the next day or so, this was the same day, I have a thing. It just sucks. I'm not going to say it anymore. It's like, I don't know. And I don't know why that would affect it, but it just is. I woke up feeling like shit today. And physically and more emotionally and just really bummed. I just want to say, by the time this video comes out, it's going to be Sunday night. And, I'll feel better. I mean, this is obviously something I'm going through. And everything that I'm going to talk about is going to be disappeared. So people don't have to say anything. Like, there's just, something that people do where they want to make other people feel better, which I do this as well. But, there are times where, you just got to go through what you got to go through. And by the time you hear this, it'll have resolved itself. Like, it's not, I just there'll be group meditation Sunday morning, tomorrow morning, and there'll be things happening that will change things. I don't know, but my mood doesn't stay this way. But I just one of the things I don't like to do is toil. I did this for years with my ex, where you're working and you're doing things and that there's the things just never, it's just going to go south. The time that we were having a homestead and homeschooling the kids and doing these things, but my ex was just sabotaging everything because of her whatever fucked up internal world, whatever was going on with her, and so there was no chance of being successful. Like, they were just no matter what we tried, there was always going to be self sabotage there. And not having money and homesteading, you're fighting against nature in a ways. I mean, we've got to learn to work with nature, but a lot of the ways that that we farm and do things, nature is working against you. It either rains too much, it doesn't rain enough. If you've ever watched that show Clarkson Farm, which is a good example of this guy's not an organic farmer by any means, but it's entertaining, and it just shows you what people go through. There's just always stuff that happens, and you can't control it. It either rains too much or it doesn't rain enough, or there's just some other factors that are involved, and there it's a lot of bureaucracy and government shit too as well, and you just can't get ahead, and it's just always coming at you. And the work itself is difficult and it's demanding, and and a lot of times you're not being cooperated with. At least that's what it seems like. And when I was farming before, we didn't have enough money for equipment. Certainly not a tractor, but we didn't even have a lawnmower. And so we were trying to do everything by hand, and just, it was impossible. I made a video one time where nature just beat me. I couldn't fight back against the weeds and the things that it just grows. And, you got to make sure that the pasture stays good. You got to, there's things that start growing in your pasture. Like, if you have a field full of grass, trees and bushes want to grow there, and they will grow there. And if you let them grow too big, then you have a big fucking stump. You can't hay there. You got to make sure you don't have. You got to clear it full of rocks and all these things. And if you don't bush hog it regularly, and things grow too much, and it just I mean, wherever you do with it, like people didn't have when before people had machines. And you have all this nice grass and the cows are eating it. It's good to have some weeds and shit in there. Like they eat a lot of different things. And you could have goats and sheep that help take care of that because the goats they'll eat they prefer the weeds over the whatever it is. But just nature proliferates and it grows and you have to learn when you find out the weeds are more nutritious. Then you have to like deal with that part. You're like because the stuff that you're growing in your garden is great, but it tastes good, but it's not as nutritious as like the weeds and things. And there's like all these superfoods and things that are out there, all this stuff. But either way, there's just always some problem, like something going wrong. Even when you have money and you have machinery, the machinery breaks down, and there's stress there that isn't the same kind of stress as going to a fucking cubicle somewhere and doing a shit job. But it's there's those things, and you just got to go through it. Like it's just at some point you realize it's all like scripted in some way. And so I started to get a headache yesterday. I talked about in my video how we my wife and I woke up and there's all this lightning, and I didn't hear it raining, but I woke up and everything was fucking flooded. And so we've had these biblical rains, and the last time I remember that happened in August is when I started my meditation. I don't know, so many years ago in 1993. It rained for 3 days, and it was just flooded. Like everything was flooded in Massachusetts, and odd rains for there. And I got my 3 introductory sittings, and the rain was always supposed to be, the Master Charji died in India, and it was in the minute right his birthday celebration the year after 2015. He had bought this piece of land, and they had it was a farmland that they used for big gatherings, and they set up tents. And it was a whole thing. This is before Dodgy, the piece of shit Dodgy, turned on him and it started shitting on him publicly. Um, and the last day it had rained so much, like there was all these tents and there was like foam rubber pads floating, like everything was flooded, everything was drenched. And they said that happens like every one of these gatherings. Like it was very odd for it to rain in July in Chennai. Like it's not part of the rainy season. It's always very dry there. It's not really the summer there. It's just different. They have a different, other side of the world. It's always hot there though. I mean, it just doesn't get any cooler. And it was very odd rain, and it rained like it was very auspicious. And then I understood that it rained at these gatherings quite a bit, and I started to see where rain often signifies spiritual, whatever it is. But so like there's hopefully that's what's happening with me. But yesterday, I was pretty surprised I didn't get a headache. And Thursday and Friday, I usually would get one, and I talked about it. Like oftentimes, I get my headaches or my heart thing or something will happen on a Thursday or Friday because it's there's always this sitting on Friday night, and usually it would go away by that sitting. And I felt pretty good. Then I started getting a headache, and I'm like, I'm gonna go do something that I can do a little physical labor. But I've been a little feeling off lately. I think about my health issues as being glitching out, and it has something to do with you have an electrical system in your body. It regulates your heartbeat and other things. So your electrical system is affected by water and like the moon and gravity and fucking thunderstorms and Wi-Fi and all that shit. Right? You have a lot of water in your system, and I get glitchy. Like that's my heart thing's a glitchy thing. It's associated with my migraines. So I made the mistake of going out, and we have this pond that's now flooded, and there's all this cattails that are in the pond. And so there's we got this thing that has 2 blades on the side of it. It's heavy as shit. It's like a silver stainless steel. It's got 2 razor sharp blades. It's shaped in a Y. The blades are about 3 to 4 foot long, 3.5, 4 feet long. Maybe just 3 feet long, and on either side. So it's got a wide area, and it's got a rope on the back of it. And you throw it out in the middle of your pond, and you drag it back, and it just slices everything. But it's the most dangerous tool that I have on the fucking farm. like these razor sharp blades, and it's hard to. They have these plastic coverings. If the plastic covering's broke and I couldn't get new ones, I just throw the whole thing out because the plastic covering is like key. And I have to be extra diligent not to cut myself. And you're throwing this thing. Sometimes you step on the rope and you're on the fucking pond. It's wet. Your feet are wet and fucking. It's a whole thing. And it's a good workout. Like I enjoy doing it. Like I feel good. It's good exercise. And I also have this rake to rake out all the stuff, like this stuff, so that we can take the kayaks out. I cut a path through the the um, the cattails. It's really cool. It's like going into like almost like a jungle area, and we can go around the thing. And there's all these frogs. And I went out there, and we have these big bullfrogs that are because the pond's flooded, and they're usually our dog Tulsi beats us to the pond, and she chases them off. But they've been jumping on the water like Jesus frogs, and I hope to get a video of it. And I went out, and there were three of them next to each other, and they all jumped the same way and like synchronized, and they bounced 3 times, 3 or 4 times on the water, and then dove underneath it. It was like cool to look at. Would have been a great video clip. I looked for it because I'd seen them do it, but I was carrying this thing, and I started using the thing, and I started getting a little exhausted, and I was using it right by we have like a dock area, and that's a little bit harder to use it, and I started to get I just haven't been feeling great, and all of a sudden my heart thing started, and it when it starts, it just starts out of nowhere. There's no rhyme or reason. Like there doesn't seem to be any. I mean, I was exerting myself, so there was that. And the first couple times it happened, the first 3 times, my heartbeat went up to 250 beats a minute. And it was bad. My heart was racing and pounding, and it's gotten significantly more mild over time. And this time, when I took my pulse, and it didn't even seem like my heart was the problem. It almost was like I was having a spasm with my gut, but it was just this glitch out, and it just goes on for whatever period of time, and then like a switch is thrown, and it's over. I mean, I'm sitting there, and I don't feel like my heart's doing anything wrong. Maybe it's not beating regularly, but I can't really even tell. It's so subtle now, but it's happened. I can feel it happen, and then when it's over, it's over. So that was about 5:30, and it went all the way till 9 o'clock, but very subtle. And it stopped, and I mean, it felt better for a little bit. Then it came back. It was just, I knew it wasn't over, and then all of a sudden, we do this 9 o'clock meditation on Friday night, where you get what's called like these individual sittings, cleaning, and it oftentimes when I do these sittings, it'll stop. My heart will start racing more in the beginning, and then by the end of the sitting, it's just done, which it was over with. But then my headache, these migraines that I get come back, getting back, and I'm like, fuck. The headache disappeared for the entire time this thing happened, and then it comes back, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And a bunch of things happened to stress me out, and I'm not going to get into those things, but I kind of got woken up, and usually in the morning, like the headache, like I'll dry heave, I'll be nauseous, and I'll dry heave, and then I'll meditate for an hour, and sometime during the meditation, the headache will just sort of go away, or like start getting better, and then I'll drink my hot chocolate and my have my pills in the morning. I do this drink, and I do my morning routine, and then by the time it's breakfast, I usually feel better or whatever it is. But a bunch of things happen to stress me out during my heart thing and the rest of it. Like I just I'm not gonna get into the details of it, but I just felt fucking really bummed. I woke up, and and I couldn't really meditate because I was just so irritated and frustrated, and the rain started in again, and it just like I looked at my phone, and there's just I was getting annoyed by what I saw. There's some guy, something Wilson, I don't know what he is, and he the guy talks shit about Candace Owens, um, and you know he was on Joe Rogan, and um, they had some sort of debate with that guy, fucking whatever his name is, Patrick Bet David or whatever it is. And I saw some clips of it, and the guy's a complete clout chaser. And I'm like, why is this guy even on Joe Rogan? I don't even know who he is. This David Wilson, but he went from a guy who called Erica Kirk retarded, that she was too retarded to kill her husband. She's not, to where he met with them and now he's shilling for them in some obviously staged way. And there's a whole way for Candace Owens to promote herself and him to promote himself. And these people who, when they recommend their videos to you, these people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, but there's all these individual independent truthers out there. And I hope there's good ones, because I think there's still good ones. You guys listen to other people, I'm sure. And they don't get promoted. Like, they just, I don't get real truther stuff anymore. Like, I get these fucking people who come in and contaminated what we built. They're parasites. They're worse than the mainstream people, because they're still mainstream people, posing as fucking truthers or whatever. And I just, it just annoyed the shit out of me. Like, just the whole thing. And, um, the problem with doing anything where you're a part of a solution, like a spiritual solution, the people will always let you down. I mean, people think about, like, Jesus is an obvious one. Jesus was just on the second rung of spirituality. He wasn't really, he was still very relatively young and relatively, just a, person who just moved up a little bit above the average person. And, the way he was treated by his disciples and every fucking buddy, the establishment, like, it's, always worse in that part of the world. That religion and the Roman Empire and the Jewish religion and the, people that all of them were involved. They specifically suck worse than other places, but I mean, you don't get crucified necessarily, but it's almost better, like Jesus, for him, like he just was able to get out, right? Like, to my understanding, he just praying to die before the crucifixion. Like, when you reach a spiritual level and you can really help people, like you have a system, you have knowledge, you have abilities to help people spiritually, and you think, oh my God, this is going to be great. And it's fucking never great. It's the opposite of great. Whatever, it's horrible. Like, people just absolutely suck. They're so fucking selfish. And, you just die miserable. Like, all three masters of the Sejmark system. Like, Lology, the first master of the system, he realized his spiritual goal when he was like a kid, like a child. He had this spiritual epiphany. And he had some gurus and some people that were instrumental in teaching him a little bit of stuff. But he reached this really high level of spirituality. And, he was born into wealth, and his dad lost everything. His mom died. And he was, living in one room, impoverished. He got a job, because he was educated. And he dug himself out of poverty. And then he was able to, acquire some, a little bit of land and a house and things. I mean, he was destitute. Like, he was like, married when he was a kid. He was like 14, his wife was 12. Like, that's kind of ancient Indian shit. Somebody had an extra, like, cement room somewhere where he was like a prison cell, and his wife would live in there, sleeping on the floor, no money. He got a job and slowly was able to, pull himself out of poverty. And he started to train people spiritually. And, he had about 200 or so followers. And, he had this system that would eventually be a global system, through grassroots, word of mouth, spread to various countries all over the globe, fighting spiritual seekers. But, all the people around him, a lot of them had spiritual powers, ancient Indian shit. It's just some little village. And they all wanted they wanted his, whatever he wanted, whatever he acquired spiritually. And, he found this one great person, Babaji, who was, very humble, simple guy, little guy, like totally innocent and, pure. And they tried to kill the guy spiritually. They tried to take his powers, and eventually, years later, 13 years after Balaji died, all these pieces of shit, instead of like, I mean, they were given things by Lology. Like, they were propped up by him. Like, they benefited from his system and his person, who he was as a person, his achievements. They all basked in his glow, right? He pulled these people out of their their normal lives and brought them up to higher levels of spiritual, you know, evolution, like spiritual, stages and things. And instead of being like happy about this and going, oh my God, we got to make sure everybody does this, right? The first time I took sittings, I'm like, does everyone know about this? Like, my first sitting, I said to the preceptor, because I had an amazing experience. I'm like, we got to tell everyone about this. Like, I couldn't believe how great it was. I'm like, we got to tell everyone. This is amazing, right? And then, from there, I was more and more amazed at how great it was, the transmission, the cleaning. And we got to tell everyone. Like, fucking, why isn't everyone doing this? I was like, fucking, I was like stupid and, but innocent. And, because the reason everybody isn't doing this is because people fucking suck. People don't want to do it. People want to be stuck in their fucking drama and their misery and their bullshit, right? They want to toil around and not fucking pull themselves up from their abyss, because everyone can connect to God anytime they want, and they don't. There's a reason people don't, because people suck, right? People, there isn't a lack of, you know, opportunity. It's a lack of desire. It's a lack of, wanting. It's a lack of, compulsion to reach out for your higher nature. Like, and now, I'm totally convinced of this. I mean, everyone should be, because like the reason, there's been saints in the past. Why isn't everybody a saint, right? Why isn't everybody at least moving towards that? Why isn't everybody embracing God? I mean, if God's there for you and you can have a relationship with God and you're lonely and your bank of love is empty and God is love and you have all this infinite love and you just won't connect to it. Master Chargy would always talk about how they'll find a squirrel who's buried nuts, under the ground, and it has to, in the winter, dig through snow, and and right before it reaches the nuts, it freezes to death, and like the squirrel's got all these nuts that could keep it alive, and starves to death and freezes to death. Right, it needs food in the winter, but they've buried these nuts, and they can't get to them. And at least the squirrel's trying. The squirrel knows where the nuts are, and at least it's trying. It's just it misplanted it or whatever, or just didn't know there was going to be this much snow or whatever. But human beings don't even try. Like, they don't even try to connect to divinity. And so the second master, Babaji, he came into the situation where people are trying to kill him, and he turned this thing into a real organization, and he had an obvious successor in Master Charji. But his own fucking kids and so many people tried to kill Charji when Babaji died. They undermined everything. They tried to steal property. The one ashram they had, and and Babaji died and Lalaji died like fucking miserable. Like, they knew what was going on with the fucking piece of shit that they had given so much to and propped up, and these, instead of being grateful and saying, all right, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. What can I do? Like, what can I do to serve? Me, give me more, take. I want this, I want that. Why isn't it me? This kind of bullshit. Why ain't I your successor? This kind of thing. And, so then Charji, for years, he had to deal with Babaji's kids, one of whom he got a job for. Like, Babaji's son, Charji, got, like, getting a job in India is everything. And Charji was a successful businessman, worked in a plastic company, and he got Babaji's son a job. And Babaji's son started talking shit and undermining Charji at work, trying to undermine him with the boss. And then when Babaji died, he and his brothers, claimed property that wasn't theirs, that was part of an organization, and they, and then they brought in other people, and then, other people, some guy showed up with a gun, they hired a hitman to kill Charji, somebody poisoned him, and he, nobody accepted him. And, when fucking, he went through all this hell, years and years, 13 years of trying to get the properties back and dealing with all these things, slander and, just hate that he got. And then, he built this massive mission. He, hundreds of thousands of people, global ashrams, all this stuff. He couldn't find a successor. He nominated one guy. That guy sucked. And then he nominated Kamesh Patel, and then after his death, within a year or so, Kamesh Patel started to talk shit about Charji and undermine his thing and erase him from the mission. And I was like, and I mean, the way he died, he had cancer in his bones and his prostate, I believe. He had bone cancer, which is unbelievably painful. He suffered leg pain from a past life, excruciating leg pain. He couldn't see anymore. He had one good eye, and then that kind of was dim. I mean, he could barely see. And he had respiratory issues, and he was just in physical pain all the time. He was poisoned, and that affected his like system. All this stuff, like um, and he died. I don't think the physical stuff was as bad as all these people who just and then once Dodgy turned on him, all these people who just are in the mission, they can't deal with it. Like a lot of these people, I regard as much better and more devoted to the system than me. And I just watching all that shit, right? Like I mean, how great it was, and it fucking sucks so bad now. I mean, what this thing called heartfulness? I can't even describe how great it was. I can barely remember myself now, and that it just disappeared. Like the whole fucking organization, all the people, like we used to all get together and do these meditations, and Dodgy's turned it into a piece of shit, grifting fucking cult like stupidity, retarded fucking bullshit thing. Like the guy's so fucking stupid and so criminal, so greedy, and just and I mean human beings just wreck everything. Like and I've seen it over and over again. So like I know from my own experience what it's like to connect to the divinity within you and how transformative it is. And people just don't want it. Like I mean they don't want to work for it. They don't even want to try it. I mean it's there. Like your soul wants it. Like everybody's soul wants it, right? Like it's just there for people to, everybody's soul. If you could talk to your soul, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, go do that thing." I mean, your soul wants God's love. It wants to evolve spiritually, even the worst person. And so, how fucked up people that their soul has a mission for them and has a purpose, and they don't embrace it. Like their ego runs away from it, denies it. People are betraying themselves all the time. And I see it, and it's just fucking. I mean, it's just a lost cause. Like it's just toiling. I mean, something. I'm like, I hope something will change. Like there'll be some shift. People wake the fuck up. I don't know. I don't even know how many people have the capacity to do that. It's not that many people. It's probably a fraction of the population. But even those people. So it's just a human waste here. Like it's just nothing. And I don't think about it that much because if I did, it's just it's a bummer. But I woke up and I just could really feel it. I feel a little bit better now talking about it. But still, like it's just it doesn't get any better. Like I just I see that the problem, and it isn't that God isn't there for you, or it isn't that they're it can't be done. People just don't want to do it. Like people just don't want to leave their lower nature behind and embrace their higher nature. It was a very simple thing. All this bullshit you see, all this stuff that people spend their time watching the drama, fucking Erica Kirk and Trump and politics and fucking left right bullshit and all problems and fucking Desperate Housewives or Real Housewives drama people watch and fucking TV shows and movies and all this toiling and wasting fucking time and energy. The biggest regret that anybody should have is the time that you waste doing bullshit, nothing, nonsensical bullshit. It's just nonsensical bullshit. That's I'm gonna name my video this. It has no purpose. It's just a distraction, self-imposed distraction that you can't wait to jump behind to kill time. Like people are just wasting their lives, right? Wasting their opportunities. They don't value what they should value. They kill the saints. They kill people who could help them. Pull themselves out of their misery. Like that's one of the worst things in the white people countries, the European countries, America. Where saints are killed. In other countries, they're just ignored, right, or whatever. Ignoring is um, the the gentlest word. Whatever it's much more than ignoring, right? It's just exploited. I guess is another word. But at least they don't kill them there. I guess I don't know if that's somewhat better. It's hard to say. I mean, the ones that are killed, they relieve. They can leave this fucking place behind them. If they've reached some level of, liberation themselves, they're free from this fucking shit. This shithole. Like this shithole world, whatever it is, and they can move forward or whatever. They can get, they can get the fuck out. But you know, other ones have to stick around and just watch the people disappoint them. Right? Like it's just a disappointment. People are just, they can't do what they need to do. And like it's always there for me, like I'm aware of it, I just don't pay attention to it. Like I don't pay attention to the fact that it seems like we're just, worthless. There was a time that Master Chargy made 6 people from um, South America preceptors. They came to Atlanta and most of them couldn't really speak English. And, you're supposed to be a vegetarian, like that kind of shifted, but, vegetarian stuff was like, that was it. And they were all made preceptors and they all went out and ate ribs. They went to like some steakhouse or something. Um, and they ate ribs and whatever it was. And Chargy said, it's like throwing a cup of water into the desert. There's just, I mean, like, there was these people that were probably didn't even understand what they were doing and how to be a preceptor and what the system was about. Going back to these countries that, I mean, there's spiritual people everywhere, but connecting with them. And I mean, America was like throwing a cup of water into the desert. There's only 1,000 or so people, sincere people, less people than that, probably hundreds that's sincere, dedicated people in America, out of, 300 million. I mean, just globally. And so, the system never really took off the way it should. And I mean, it's been killed, at least for now in this form, by the piece of shit fourth master of the system who failed on, epic levels. And, like, I mean, it's hard for me to think about these people who I think are the cream of the crop, people who are able to do the meditation. They're just, they're the most evolved people. And they just failed, like unbelievably so, in a way that, like, I mean, it's just head scratching. It's easy to see from Christianity that when there is a spiritual movement and somebody has something to offer, it gets compromised and perverted and changed into something bad that does the opposite. It disconnects people from God instead of connecting them. Like that's what happened in Christianity. It's happened to all these religions. It's a fucking horrible thing. Power hungry people come in and use this teaching, the good parts of the teaching, and the movement to turn it into something bad, turn it against itself. Right? If you ever seen the movie Book of Eli, it's a post-apocalyptic situation where there's a flash of light, like a, something like a, what do you call it, like an EMP from the sun, like a, one of those electromagnetic pulses that come off solar storms or whatever. There's a thing when the magnetic field is weakened, and all these solar flares are, then they can penetrate to the earth, and they can take out the electrical system. It's a whole thing. It's a, I mean, it's like pretty sure that's going to happen. Like, in terms of all the, the things that are going to, all the things that are waited for humanity. And some of these people were blinded by the flash of light. And one of them is this guy, Eli, played by Denzel Washington. And he has a book that he's carrying. It turns out to be the Bible, spoiler alert. And there's this thug who wants it. This thug who is empowered because he can't get the people to behave, and he's going to use the Bible as a tool but he needs a Bible. He needs to be able to, he knows the Bible is a tool that he can use to control his people. And, and it's like the whole way the movie plays out. Which is, I mean, it's a good premise because these spiritual people come down and they give a teaching, and then that teaching is perverted and manipulated and reversed, and then it goes from being something good to being something bad. We see that over and over again. Human beings fucking suck. And, we have a higher nature, and we'll see if there's any way to pull it out. But, I'm not going to fucking hold my breath because, like, now it looks pretty dim. So this is, my constant thing I'm aware of. It's depressing. It's, it just kills your motivation and enthusiasm. And like I have to ignore it because otherwise I would just be bummed out all the time. And so, feel a little bit better now after, you know, unloading this all on you all. Again, you don't have to try to make me feel better. This is not one of those things. By the time you hear this, I'll be in a completely different mood and I'll be doing whatever I'm doing. All right, so if that's the beginning here, let's get into the video. So let's start off here with this worthless piece of shit.
So I just say this. So for you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline, just remember, you're doing it so that a very evil country cannot have... A country, really, it's the #1 state sponsor of terror in the world. We don't want to have them have a nuclear weapon. So remember that when you have to pay a little bit more, you're at $4. It's okay. I mean, it's... I'll never apologize. I did the right thing.
You never apologize. Of course, you never apologize. So you claim victory, you attack, you blame, there's a whole thing. I have it somewhere. Let's see if I can find that in a bit here for later. The thing is, like it's from that movie, The Apprentice, where he learns from this gay Jewish lawyer, Roy Cohen, like how to deal with conflict, and this is how he deals with it, right? So fucking, but, I mean, nobody believes the shit about Iran. And he knows they don't believe it because, like, it wasn't why he got into it. Like, he thought this was going to be something. The fucking guy was told to do it by Netanyahu. And $4 gas means more than just $4 gas. But, like, no fucking politician ever gets to say, hey, you guys eat more shit. I promised to make things better, and now I've made them worse. But I'm not apologizing. I mean, nobody, they're going to get fucking demolished in the midterms. I mean, other than him being a total piece of shit about so many different things and everyone just getting used to it, like this is, people don't want to hear that shit. I mean, as much as this will get out to people, you can't say shit like this, right? And all these piece of shit defenders, all these things, right? Just, all the stuff. All right, let me go. Why don't we go to the Candace Owens thing here? Okay, I found it. Roy Cohn from the Apprentice movie. Deny, deflect, attack, and lie, and always claim victory. That's what Trump does. So, like, there's never any sense of take responsibility, which is what you're supposed to do. Like, the first thing in spirituality, like I was going to say about this voiceover I did earlier, I left this out. I should probably say this at the end, but I'll say it here and maybe I'll remember to say it again for the Journey Series people. I had a headache and I thought I'd do some exercise. And sometimes when I do the exercise, early stages, it'll relieve the stress and the headache. And then I had a heart thing. The headache went away. And then I had a heart thing for like 3 hours, minor thing, but just uncomfortable and shitty. I was dizzy and was like, whatever, sucked. But it wasn't as bad as the earlier ones. And then the thing ended. And then my headache came back, right? Which I still have today. So I'm like, I should have just accepted the fucking headache, right? I should have just, but like, you make mistakes, your life is about improving and being shown where you need to improve. But if you're going to do what Trump does, then that's the opposite. That's where you become a fucking demon. Like, that's what demons do. Speaking of fucking demons.
Your positive evidence for the fact that Erica was...
Oh, I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to do, on recommendation. I still don't understand what you think she's complicit in.
Yeah, so when I say Erica's complicit, that's my opinion. When you tweeted Erica's too to kill her husband, would you like to explain how you developed your evidence, your positive evidence for the fact that Erica was...
Yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
I just think all women are...
Oh, so you're allowed to just say stuff. Who knew? So, and
so this is these pieces of shit, right? We all know Candace Owens is a fucking, everybody look at me, withholding information, manipulating, putting out bullshit, drama queen, all the shit that she is, right? And this guy inserted himself somehow to this thing by first saying Erica Kirk was too retarded to kill her husband, but then went to TPUSK and they swayed him that actually they have all this evidence and they're real legitimate. And Candace is a problem. He went on Joe Rogan, talked shit, And now they're having this fucking celebrated, fake truth or bullshit thing they're having with that other fucking piece of shit who's a Trump person, Iranian person who's pro the Iranian war. I mean, I don't know what he is now, but he was in the beginning. These fucking lying sacks of shit that all, flirt with the truth community because they're, parasites.
Just
And by
ask
the way,
me,
and
like,
what dramatically transformed your opinion of Erica after going to the headquarters? Because you were pretty hostile about.
I wasn't hostile towards him.
You don't think calling somebody too
No,
is?
come on.
I'm saying that you now are her biggest defender. So do you still think
I'm
she's
not
too,
her biggest defender.
Do you still think she's too?
No. I didn't know Erica Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly...
It's amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the murder of people's deaths, that perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent.
Maybe to the media they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erica too in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that
This is the fucking bullshit that's out there, right? Like, this is the bullshit. Like, who is this piece of shit? Like, why did Joe Rogan have him on? And then why is this fucking thing? Joe Rogan volunteered to moderate the debate. Like, just everybody look at me bullshit, right? Nonsensical fucking bullshit. It's all nonsensical fucking bullshit that's a waste of fucking time. Just like fucking parasitic. Everybody look at me. Hey, look, like a fucking people. I'm famous. You fucking famous? Yeah, you're famous for fucking with a bunch of fucking retards watching you. Bunch of dumb fuck people with no ability for abstract thought and critical thinking skills. They're watching you. Yeah, the fucking Erica Kirk thing is fucked. Charlie Kirk thing, it's fucked. It's fucked for a reason. Like, it's been fucked. And it's not going to be unfucked. Like, there's not going to be some resolution. Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit. They're all pieces of shit, right? They're just all grifting and, self, they're about themselves. That none of these people serve God or do things to make things better. They just, they grift and they drama and they fucking suck people into their bullshit. And people follow because they fucking want to be low. People want to embrace their lower fucking nature. So, fuck these guys. Okay, so this nonsensical bullshit. Fuck this guy, Peter Navarro. I'm feeling better. But I'm still like, this has been up for a couple days. It's kind of funny. And this guy, I've heard his name, Peter Navarro. I thought he was maybe Hispanic. I don't know. I thought he'd be more of not some just old fucking white-haired white guy, but whatever.
Very focused in my remarks today. I'm referencing an article I did. It appeared in, thank you, the New York Post.
It was in that fucking wonderful journalistic fucking miracle.
Broad focus here is that President Trump has tasked people like John Solomon.
Oh, fucking John Solomon. Holy shit. They got Solomon?
And Bill Pulte to dig in and find all of the classified documents and buried documents that basically bear on two things. One, the weaponization of the justice system that tried to put President Trump in prison.
Okay, so he's really going to get to the bottom of how they fucked him over. Now he's a fucking victim. Because that's what fucking America needs when there's $4 gas. You fucking piece of shit. Like, you fucking taint-licking piece of shit. Like, fucking, that's what we need. There's more American money going into how Trump was screwed over and how great he was and how they're all out to get him. And how the government was weaponized, why Trump has weaponized the government. By locking somebody up for fucking, trying to lock somebody up for damaging a fucking, a pool that he wrecked, right? Like, that's not weaponizing the government. Like, Trump never would fucking use the government inappropriately and the justice system for his own purposes. He's the worst, right? And they all do it because they're all corrupt pieces of shit, right? This nonsensical bullshit. But it's going to get, there's a thing here coming up.
100 years, let us not forget, they tried to do that. And also the issues of election integrity. So just in the past couple of weeks, we've had drops on the White House site on China's influence.
Okay, so you're going to
on-
release those documents, but Trump couldn't release the Epstein files because it's going to hurt his friends. And really, his friends, he means himself because he doesn't have friends. He's got people he uses because he's fucking narcissistic as much as you could possibly be. I mean, that shit that he didn't do, right? And this, you're going to come out here and talk about how you're going to release only the documents that support Trump's case, because anything that would negate his worldview, you're going to withhold because no one wants to fucking tell him the truth. Fuck you doing out here, bro? Like, just, are you shitting your pants too? Are you wearing fucking Depends, you piece of shit?
Election, Maricopa County. We've had.
Oh,
I'm gonna
fuck.
Talk about
Maricopa County, fuck. They got Maricopa County.
today, which is an unprecedented release of documents that indicate a coup that was attempted while President Trump was a sitting president. So let me walk you through the New York Post article.
Okay, because it's an award-winning fucking article, I'm sure. That's why they published it in the New York Post. Rupert fucking Murdoch. I mean, it's a rag, the New York Post. You mean you couldn't get the Inquirer, right? The Inquirer wouldn't publish it?
And these previously unreleased documents. And I'll take you back first to 2016 when the campaign of Hillary Clinton hired Christopher Steele to do a phony dossier that became the fodder for Crossfire Hurricane, which was an investigation of whether the President Trump was somehow a captive
Look
of,
at this guy coming up. Russia. Who's this fucking guy? Russia, you mean?
of Putin's Russia.
Russia.
Just an absurd kind of thing. What's interesting
Okay, just took a picture of the back of his head.
about that initial investigation was that it didn't touch the president directly. It focused on his associates like Carter Page, on George Papadopoulos,
Papadopoulos?
Mike Flynn.
Flynn, they got
and so
fucking
on.
Flynn.
What we find
Who's
this
this
week
fucking guy?
with these documents. That
I mean, you got trucks going by here. Like, how many reporters are actually there? Listen to this fuck. There's only one? There's some guy with his fucking phone? Like, what the fuck is this? This guy taking pictures of the back of his head? And this fucking guy, what's he doing here? Is it a fucking DoorDash?
Here, I'm going to walk you through this. Starts on May 16th, 2021.
Okay,
May
well, I'm listening. Big date.
16th, 2021. We're 5 months into the presidency of Donald John Trump, and the FBI.
Okay, so it isn't 2021, you dumb fuck. We're not 5 months into the presidency. He lost in 20. Like, this guy doesn't give you guys dates right. Like, fucking, you senile, you fuck?
May 16th, 2021. May 16th, 2021. We're 5 months into the presidency of Donald John Trump. And
No, you're 5 minutes into the presidency of Joe Biden, you dumb fuck.
the FBI,
Wait, point.
America's FBI, opens an investigation of a sitting president on the question of whether that president is controlled by Putin's Russia.
You mean 2016, you dumb fuck.
May 16th, 2021. Now, we've heard that anecdote.
You don't even have your dates right, you dumb fuck. How weak-minded are you guys? You're coming out. This guy's going to talk for 25 minutes. He's going to say something here 5 minutes in. We're about 2 minutes away from that. But just kind of hilarious. It's the title of the video. That's why I clicked on it. But Joe Biden was elected in 2020, so it would be his presidency.
Totally. What we didn't have is the underlying documents, the arguments in the chain of command, and we've got that now.
Now we got it.
How did this start? It started with a guy named Bill Priestap, who was the acting director or the assistant director of counterintelligence, consulting with James Baker, the general counsel. Based on that, they issue a communication on May 16th that has Rod Rosenstein basically opening, and I want to make sure I get this detail right.
Well, you haven't got anything else right. Since the primary detail so far was May 2021, which you said 5 minutes into Trump's presidency when you went to Biden's presidency. So like that fucked up everything. Like you're none of your shit matters now. You you can't get that primary date. You're building this timeline, and you started off with the wrong fucking date. When you're building a timeline, it's important to get the first one right, because everything else is going to flow into that. Like no one even knows what the fuck you're talking about now, because you're 5 years ahead of when it really happened.
Acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe personally notified Acting Attorney General Rod Rosenstein to open the investigation. Okay? Now, what's important is that that had a predicate that had been established, and what we know about that predicate, which we did not know before.
We now know.
On these now declassified documents, that the people involved with that 2016 Crossfire Hurricane operation still going. Two people, including FBI agents at the time, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page.
Don't remember those guys. 2021, when they 5 years after they were fired.
The so-called lovers.
So-called lovers. They were like fucking like the so-called lovers. They never actually loved.
They contributed in somehow information to what Priestap did to lay the predicate. And one of the things I'm calling for is getting more information on those particular documents, because they did not name who did that predicate. Now,
who did the predicate? Did you just do a predicate in your pants? Are you predicating right now? Are you predicating? You're not.
James Comey's in the mix too. By the time May 16th rolled around, he had been fired.
He'd been fired by that time.
But they used Comey as a witness and used his firing to make an argument that somehow his firing had something to do with obstructing the Russia probe, which was, we now know that was totally.
His truck's backing up and shit. Where the fuck is he? Just like a fucking Motel 6 or something?
False as well. And then if you go one step deeper at the agent level, you've got a guy named Stephen Soma.
Fucking Soma. Remember that guy?
He was identified anonymously as Case Agent 1. He's the guy that totally screwed up the FISA warrants on Carter Page. There's another guy, Joseph Pienka, and then there's a guy who's very special to me in the worst kind of way, Walter Giordino. These are all FBI agents.
They're all FBI guys up and down.
The guy who did that.
Now the FBI's been, strained out by that wonderful leader, Kash Patel.
Arrest of me and my beautiful wife at Reagan Airport, when they could have just asked me to report down for the arrest. They made it a big circus. But what's important
is your wife actually beautiful, bro?
About Giordina is that I call him the Forrest Gump of the weaponized justice system.
So he's retired? He's retired?
Because he was involved not just in Crossfire Hurricane, but in other operations like Crimson River, Arctic Frost. Everywhere you see his footprints. And so what we have here is a very clear case of an FBI out of control. We need to look at all of the documents now. They have to be unredacted. That's the next step that has to take place. And these people need to be held to account, because this was nothing more than an attempted coup d'etat. They couldn't stop his election. That was pure election interference prior to the 2016 election. But they didn't quit. They didn't stop. They kept going after him. And as we know from the Mueller report, there was nothing there. The Russia hoax was indeed a hoax. So I want everybody out there in America to understand that FBI, under the control of deep state people inside there, did totally outside the box, irresponsible things that in my judgment constitute treason and an attempted coup. They need to be held accountable.
The deep state tried to do a coup. So that's the name of this video. And you start off in 2021, which fucked the whole timeline up. He goes on. This is fucking 23 minutes into the thing.
With Russia, but afterwards it got heavily get between that. All right, yes, sir.
All right, so holy shit, right? And the deep state is it's a it was a word that was thrown around the truth community, and the QAnon people who are the worst. They're fucking Q-tards. I call them QBs, but they're the worst. They were right wing dumb fucks, no critical thinking skills, sucked into some bullshit idea that some high level intelligence officer was working with a bunch of other good people with President Trump and was it John F. Kennedy Jr. or somebody to combat the deep state. It was a fucking bullshit thing, like just retarded, just wrecked the truth community. You guys all know how I feel about that. It's just horrible. Anybody who had to deal with these cubies, and what the fuck this guy? What was this like fucking Ichabod Crane motherfucker standing out in front of some Motel 6 and giving a fucking thing? I mean, so there's supposed to be a question here.
Mr. Navarro, the president has said many times that he wanted to cut all trade with Spain after several
What, you get one of the landscapers to ask you a question?
complaints. Do you know anything
No,
about that?
again, I'm not. Yeah, when I come out to you, I come with very specific things and news that I can talk about. So let's just leave it at that. I think I've given you a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, nothing to think about. It's just more Trump bullshit. Like fucking, even if this stuff was true, no one's gonna believe it. Like he's owned by fucking Israel. Like it's just whatever the thing with Russia. He's shown he's owned by Israel. He's licking fucking Netanyahu's taint, and you're licking Trump's taint. It's a circle of fucking taint lickers like the human fucking caterpillar. And Jesus fucking Christ, just nonsensical bullshit for fucking retards who don't fucking want to be able to face the bullshit of their whole indoctrination to a country and a system that's demonic at its very core. It's just more nonsensical bullshit, right? Like 24 fucking minutes this guy spoke out there. It's just fucking just horrible. Okay, so I ate breakfast and still a little bit grumpy. And did some shit out there, and I was listening to I listened to some basketball podcast things, nonsensical things, that just background noise, like non-stressful, like I don't give a shit about it, and I know something about, but it's whatever. And they really like me to watch shit like that. Like I said, if I click on some WNBA story, YouTube I'm talking about will recommend so many different fucking WNBA bullshit that there's things that you click on and you're going to get a ton of it, right? Because there was a time where YouTube used to give you what you wanted, and it was truther stuff. Like I would find good truthers, in the beginning, years and years before I was doing this here. I was making homesteading videos. I was getting truther stuff all the time, and YouTube knew what you wanted and gave it to you. But it got to the point where at some point they said, we know what you want, but we're going to give you other shit you don't want instead. Fuck you. We know more than you. And this is how we're going to program our algorithms and whatever. And Twitter is much better at not doing that, although this thing popped up and they have no reference for me. Looking at the two videos I've seen so far in this were recommended by YouTube, right? And so if they do recommend something truther, it's because it's controlled. Like if they put a microphone in front of somebody, then they own them, right? It's somebody they can control. They know that they're going to do the right thing and say the right thing, right? So I was watching the sports thing, and the next video down underneath it was the full fucking debate between this piece of shit and Candace Owens, and the cunt, like fucking this piece of shit versus the cunt, and. It's 3 hours and 10 minutes long, and I'm like, what the fuck could they be talking about? So I open up Twitter, and 3 posts down, this is what they show me here.
One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erica Kirk or Erica actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here.
You're not going to get yourself into a legal pickle? I wouldn't want you to get into a legal pickle, you fucking cunt. What are you talking about? You brought in that piece of shit, Mitch Snow. I'll show my meme after this. Mitch Snow, who was like, attention, whatever he was. an unreliable witness. And, he was exposed so many different ways and you defended it and said, when clearly the guy wasn't reliable, to say that he saw her at Fort Huachuca, which somehow meant that they were part of a plot, right? So, don't pretend you can give your opinion that, yes, you believe that they were complicit in some way.
Everything I've said is on my podcast.
How would that get you in a legal
I think
pickle?
firmly that if I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all and I would ask questions. I would.
Oh, that you're willing to go out there after bringing in Mitch fucking Snow? So here's the problem with all this kind of stuff, right? Like, it's just simple. Like, it's simple. First of all, no one's going to be punished. No one's going to go to jail. They're not going to tell you the truth. If Israel and CIA and Trump are involved in Charlie Kirk's death, that ain't fucking coming out. Not till like 100 years from now, or, when no one gives a shit. I mean, it's never really going to probably come out. They're not going to tell you that the government killed a popular right-wing figure, some white guy, right? They're not going to tell you that unless they want fucking mass riots. They want, whatever it is. And they're not going to tell you Trump was a part of it. And they're certainly not going to tell you Israel. So, they're not going to tell you that. That's never coming out. And no one, and if they did somehow leak that information, in some way, there's no way anybody goes to jail. Like, it just doesn't become a thing unless there's some patsy. But, none of that's ever going to come out. So if you think that you're going to turn the tides of this thing, the only thing you're going to change is people's minds about it. And what, it's going to change people voting? Like what? So the Democrats are going to be elected, which are going to be elected anyway? Like, people are going to turn on Trump, which they already are. And the $4 gas isn't enough. They need to, change people's minds. So none of this is going to affect anything, right? TPUS gay is a fucking joke. So this story is over. The only interesting part about how fucked up it is, how fucked up Erica is, and, you can cover that forever, just like Britney Spears dancing. But it isn't, it's nonsensical bullshit, right? It's not going to make a difference. And so, but here's the thing. Either you believe the official story, which really nobody with half a brain should. Anybody with any critical thinking skills should not buy into the official story. I think the whole thing is staged in a way to create drama and provoke this kind of bullshit, but whatever. If you're going by the official narrative, no one should believe that story. Like that, it's a lone gunman, patsy, fucking furry loving dude. That's just not, And so if you don't believe in that official story, then they have to, if there is a conspiracy, Erica has to be a part of it. And I've said this over and over again. You have to get the ex-wife. You have to get the wife, You can't have the wife floating around, telling truth and shit like the 9/11 widows did. They already know about that shit. Like, just because the 9/11 widows were a big deal, right? 9/11 widows are saying shit, whatever that guy's name is, that former Arizona Cardinal football player. They'll come to me later. Don't tell me. Don't care. Don't need to know. His family, when they started saying, we think there's a conspiracy to kill the guy, Pat Tillman. They can't have the Tillmans around. So Erica Kirk has to be controlled. They don't want Erica Kirk running around yelling conspiracy. So if they're going to do it, she has to be on board. And, she has to be really into being CEO. And maybe this was part of a plan long ago when she's some kind of operative that married Charlie Kirk and that he had lost control. There's this video of him looking really sad when he's talking to Megyn Kelly, where, that thing with Ben Affleck where they play The Sound of Silence. And Charlie Kirk's looking really sad, like he knows he's fucked. This is like a month before they killed him. But, they surrounded him with people that weren't his friends and weren't his, what I was talking about earlier in the voiceover. People who weren't his, disciples. They weren't honoring him. They all had their own selfish agenda. And they whacked him, and these guys all came in and took over and turned it into a piece of shit organization. It was already bad before, and they made it worse. And so Erica had to be involved. She had to. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get anything more than that. Knowing that this is fake or this is a lie, the official story, and Erica was complicit. That's all you're going to get. And Trump is complicit, and the rest of them. FBI, all the people, they're all complicit. So that's all you need to know. If you believe it's fake, and it's a lie, and it's a conspiracy, then all of those people are in on it. All the Republican people, all the TPUS gay people, they all know, They had to know ahead of time, and they were all part of it. And Candace Owens, like, fuck, you can't even say that. Like, you believe that they're complicit in some way. You can say, I don't know the specifics, but they're all complicit. After all the bullshit you said, you can't fucking, he's trying to lock her down, but she doesn't want to get into a legal fucking pickle. Roll the fucking, talking to myself, roll the Mitch Snow meme.
But then I said to myself, this man has lived through so much. You know what I mean? This man has lived through so much.
My wife neglects us, ignores us, and then screams at us on Saturday mornings.
And I would be turning my back on this, really a hero.
I didn't give you an asshole answer. I gave you a smartass answer. It's Saturday morning, and it's okay to be a smartass.
For discovering the cartels.
I have no idea where the keys are. Would love to know.
Who's lived through so much and has been treated like the government. And then I struggled with my own soul going, I'm turning my back on him because I'm afraid.
Touch that Mustang. Stop it!
Touched it.
Of backlash for allowing him to tell the truth.
You want to video record shit?
And my soul was in conflict. And I decided that, you know what, this is not my platform, okay? I genuinely believe this is God's platform. I am a conduit. I don't know why I have a platform.
You want to threaten to hit my car with a hammer? God damn it! Marriage over, bitch. Goodbye.
And I don't know why you have this luck in life.
And she lured me in there and attacked me. Hit me with a hammer and, break my thumbs, my feet, back of my skull.
I really don't. I don't know why these things happen to you or why they happen to me.
Yeah, she took my keys, she took my phone, she went back inside and forced me to go back in and find out what was going on. Lures me to the garage that she pre-set up to be like a little prison.
But I know that my prayer was very intentional that night.
Then you stop it.
That I received that email. So I'm going to allow the internet to hear your testimony, hear what you think.
You know what? Do it all you want. Go ahead.
I don't want to. I want you to fucking start treating me better than you treat this car.
Everyone's like, what does this have to do with Fort Huachuca? Can Suge Knight see Brian Harpole at a military base? Like, do I care about Suge Knight's history? What does this have to do with anything? This is just illogical.
But that's not what we were doing today. But you have to do this. You have to. Don't defend
ask you a
yourself
question.
now.
I can defend myself all I want because you're being insane.
Ally with me, and I know how much you are already going through fighting them, and I intend to help you raise money.
What is so bad about being a smartass?
To go through these lawsuits with the federal government. I know this is not easy. I know what your kid has been through. I know what your wife has been through.
Mess with your car. I haven't touched this car in forever.
And no one should have to go through this because they told the truth.
You do.
Yeah, I've never done crap like that, Mitch.
Yeah. That's the thing. You do it all the fucking time.
No.
That's what you do.
You just beat our door in with a hammer.
Why are you videotaping me?
Why are you acting crazy? You want me to let you in and that's what you do?
And potentially stumbled upon something corrupt, did definitively stumble upon something corrupt. And I think the public will be with you because...
Yeah. So, she did that. And eventually I was hearing my son cry. I was worried about him, having her maul him with the dogs.
Boats and hoes. We're bringing the prices way down. Look at what's happening. Coming way down. And after we finish...
Look at these fucking guys in their gay fucking uniforms. Look at this hat. What is this bullshit, right? You just
finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated.
Woo!
Pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States.
It's true. It's fucking true. I mean, someone's got to pull the plug on this motherfucker, right? Like, he's lost his shit. I mean, how bad does it suck to be like a Republican operative right now? Unless you're in on it, because usually these guys aren't. They're not part of the fucking, the controlled, the the shadow government. They're, they have to believe in what they're doing, and they, and even if they don't believe in it, they believe in, they're a part of something, and they want it to, they want their side to win. And so to be a Republican right now and listen to this motherfucker bury your party, like Jesus Christ, are you able to do that? Just declare the Strait of Hormuz a fucking territory? And it's a body of water, like it's not land, it's not territory, like it's a body of fucking water. I mean, you can't do that anyway, but like it's a body of water. You can own one side of the land or the other side of the land, which is territory, but the strait itself is just a fucking bunch of water, right? Which you don't own because it's flowing through there. Like, you can have, whatever, some coastal region 200 miles outside your, borders that you can consider your, your waterways where your Navy polices, but it's not your territory. He's a silly little piece of shit. So this appeared, and I don't know if this is that guy, right? After crushing his deeply embarrassing defeat to Candace Owens today, Andrew Wilson has decided to regroup, rebuild, and return to competition level where he made his first name for himself, debating hookers. I think this is the same guy. I don't think this is AI. Anyways, let me show you the video.
How much?
200.
Okay, define 200.
What?
No, you made a claim. I'm asking you to substantiate the underlying premise.
Are you buying or not?
That's not an answer. You're dodging the question! You lick sniz!
So, if you guys have been watching my videos, some person said, really good video, Paul, but do you lick sniz? And I didn't know what sniz was, thought it was a funny word. Somebody else, I called it a pussy plane that Trump was on, the secondary plane. And someone said, no, it was a sniz plane. And my wife and I were making sniz jokes for a day, because it's another word for vagina. Virginer. Jesus Christ. And so I think that's the actual guy. I don't think that's, I think that was some ad he put out. And so that's weird, like fucking the sniz part. But like, holy shit, like, can it get any more nonsensical than this? Nonsensical bullshit. Like, this guy's some master debater. He's a master debater. Like, are you a master debater? You look like a master debater. Here's more nonsensical bullshit.
Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me.
The left.
That was a message sent September 9th.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that.
Like, this is where her face was really fake. All you need to know is that's not her real eye color. Like, those fucking crazy alien eyes she has are not her real fucking eye color. Like, that's all you need to know. Like, fucking, when somebody wears eye color changing contacts every time she's in public, every interview, like, pretending, for years, like this 10, 15 years. I mean, since her Miss Arizona days. Like, that's all you need to know. I mean, going on reality TV shows, all these things. That she has brown eyes and she's got blue contacts, and it's weird as fuck. Her eyes are weird as fuck. So anyways, now they're pals. Holy shit. This, I guess I should listen to this whole thing, but I don't want to.
No, these young, beautiful girls, these young, beautiful girls in the White House, they come in. Now, I'm not supposed to say beautiful, but what the hell?
He's repeating himself over and over again, and dude, it's just not something you should be saying.
Hell. These gorgeous, beautiful girls, they want to be safe, and
they're so young and they're so beautiful. I'm really, really young. I mean, fucking young as fuck. I mean, they're so fucking young and beautiful and gorgeous, and I'm not supposed to call them beautiful. I mean, fucking young. I mean, some of them aren't even. They're like in utero. They're so fucking young.
Mr. President, may I speak to you? Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I said, why are you thanking me? Because a year and a half ago, I was afraid to leave. I was afraid to open the door of my apartment. And now I walk to the White House every morning and I have absolutely no fear. Thank you, sir.
That's never happened. Like, that conversation never happened. It's just fucking made up bullshit. Right?
Now I get it all the time. Men, women.
Beautiful young girls, really young, fucking beautiful girls and boys. I mean, the beautiful boys, really young boys. Look at this fucking weird piece of shit. Look at this motherfucker.
Older men, younger men, and older women.
Beautiful men, the most beautiful men in the whole fucking world.
And younger women, they're all saying thank you, and I know exactly what they mean. We lived in a hellhole. 2 years ago, we were in a hellhole, and now we have one of the safest cities, and it should be safe. It's our nation's capital. We represent the whole.
Nonsensical fucking fish boy bullshit. So I was scrolling through Twitter, but it's pouring again. I mean, it's just raining every day. Anyway. This guy, Parody Jeff, I think this is the guy. And I think he puts her face in a filter. Like she's, you don't need to do that because she's a beast. But I think he distorts her face because I think this guy showed text where she is begging him to stop doing this. So I went to look for the real video, like her video. She doesn't have it. She doesn't have anything on her channel. But I found this other thing here. There she's. Run, puppy. Fucking run. Don't lick that fucking abomination. Dude, you can go lick fucking dog shit, but don't lick that face. Right? But she had this weird logo here coming up down here somewhere. What am I doing here? Here it is. So I just want to put on the record I'm a lifelong Republican and devout Trump supporter. We will never have a Republican supermajority, so I want to make my services available to moderate Democrats who are under attack by DSA radicals because we cannot allow these people to obtain power in our country. Looking forward to hearing from you. Lumered Strategies. There she is. Fucking Illuminati eye. You've been lumered. All right, so no videos from her that, we'll go show you this video here. But this is entitled Crazy Candace Gets Lumered.
Candace Owens is a liar, okay? And she's a deeply insecure woman who is very unloved at the end of the day. This is a woman who is allegedly in a relationship with a gay man who is always going to feel the rejection of her family, the rejection of her mother, the rejection of her family that she claims left her alone when she was 14 years old, right, to fend for herself. This is
So, like that's, just... Like, I don't know what kind of filter to use there, but, Candace Gets Lumered. Okay, so I want to show you this. This is, if you search Erica Kirk on the Charlie Kirk channel. She appeared here on this, where she gave a message, remember? That went on multi-platforms. Here she appears on the show. This is 10 months ago. Here she interviews, whatchamacallit, she's interviewed by Megyn Kelly or some shit like that. Here she is on TV, like this is whatever, she's some kind of clip they did where they show her clip from her final book, but she doesn't go on the show itself, right? Here she joins the people again. So she's only been on the show, Charlie Kirk's show, twice since he's dead. And then here, this is Andrew Covert talking about Erica, and this is her when Charlie was still alive. So she's gone on the show twice, and she gave those speeches, these speeches here, these things. So she's given a few speeches. She's gone on, probably 5 to 10 interviews, and that's her total output of content in the year and a half since Charlie was, she killed Charlie. So let's go back to this here. So this is her crazy speech. We're going to show you a little bit of this because I just saw a clip of this. And this kind of triggered this whole idea. So she gave a speech. Remember, she appeared on Instagram by his coffin. And then she was with Usha Vance getting the coffin and with Usha and JD Vance. And then she gave a speech the next day, 2 or 3 days after. They've erased those. Those even aren't on the Charlie Kirk. At least when you search Erica, it's not there. I don't know if you scroll through. Sometimes search doesn't, search on YouTube isn't great. But they might have deleted those 2 speeches. This is from Turning Point USK, this speech here. And then she gave this speech here 8 days later. And then she kind of disappeared. She went on Charlie Kirk's show like once to talk about where they're heading, saying that she wasn't going to appear on the show very much. So if she was taking over for Charlie, that would be her show. Like that was Charlie's show. I don't know if, Blake was on occasionally. Oftentimes it was just Charlie by himself. And Andrew Covert, maybe he was on, I don't know. Like I scrolled through it. I mean, I didn't know about this guy beforehand. The show has been on for a couple years. And he was out all the time at these colleges, debating kids. She's never done one debate. So she doesn't debate, which is fine. Maybe she's not, most people can't do their spouse's job. Oftentimes you marry somebody who's better at certain things than you are. And sometimes you marry somebody from work and somebody who does a similar job to you. But in most cases, people can't do their husbands' or their wives' jobs. In fact, don't even know really what their husband and wives do. I mean, don't know all the details, don't know, couldn't just go in there. Years ago when I worked at the treatment center when I became a clinician. And it was so poorly run. It was so understaffed. We had a staff meeting. I think I started working on Monday. And then Tuesday, we had a staff meeting. I'm pretty sure we had staff meetings on Tuesday. And the counseling, person in charge of the counseling department would ask you about your clients, right? So I was there one day, just got familiarized with the place. And then the next morning, she asked me about my clients. And she kept on looking at me, and I had a caseworker there was a cottage that had 2 sides. There's 12 kids on each side. And there was a caseworker for all 12 kids. And there was a counselor for each side of the cottage. So each counselor had 12 kids. So you had to do 12-hour-long individual sessions with the kids, 1 a week, where you were working on their treatment plan for, getting out of there. They're sex offenders. And then you had to run a group every day of the week. And there was a group, like all the kids, on Wednesdays. And you had to run a cottage group for your side of the cottage, which was 12 kids. But oftentimes there was a counselor who just quit, or they has an open spot, so you had to run a cottage counseling group with 24 kids, which is impossible. 12 was way too much. And so it was like fucking really poorly done. It was really shitty. But she started asking me about these kids. I didn't even know their names yet. I hadn't even met them. And she was asking me about, like, because that's how the staff meeting worked every week. And I was like, holy shit, like she's throwing me into like fucking, I was only here one day. What'd you expect me to meet all the kids and then get a assessment? I mean, you couldn't even remember all the names, all that shit, right? And like, when you're thrown into a job, and that job wasn't nearly as complicated as 600 employees that work at TPUSK, and you're grieving, it would take you a while to acclimate yourself to the job. But she doesn't go out and debate. She's not a part of the show. She does events. She likes doing events, but she's only done a few events, barely any. She's, gone to she's got an award from Trump, and she went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a few other things. But for the most part, what is she doing, right? Because Charlie Kirk was the talent. He was out there interacting with people and then having staff meetings and running the staff. But they had a CEO. They have people in charge of the finances. They have, people who are keeping the books. Like, he didn't know where the money was going. He didn't know, because 600 people, right? They're getting hundreds of millions of dollars from Israel. I mean, the whole thing. And then she steps in. What is she doing, right? Like she certainly isn't a talent. Like no one's watching her on the show. I mean, other than get into shit with Candace, and then occasionally go in for an interview or town hall, and go out there and cry on Fox News or whatever, promote Charlie's book. She isn't doing shit, right? She's not like really. I mean, what is she doing as CEO? But she became a celebrity. Like she became somebody famous, right? Like overnight. She went from being Charlie's wife to, oh, that cunt that like, that can't grieve correctly. And I used to do this thing with Alec Baldwin when he would whisper. You're not just him, but other people. And she did it here.
The operating room itself, nothing could have been done.
Nothing could have been done.
There was no pain. There was no fear. No agony. One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus.
There's the laugh, right? Like, what do you mean? What's so funny about that? Why is that a joke? Why are you laughing? It's 9 days after your husband's funeral. I mean, this is his funeral after he was killed. This was his fucking funeral, right?
Fighting for the gospel.
Fighting for the gospel. He fought for that fucking gospel like no other. Fight for that gospel, Charlie. Fight for that gospel.
In truth.
In truth. In truth. Gospel in truth. Like, look at this fucking cunt, right?
In front of a big crowd.
In front of a big crowd.
And then he blinked.
Then he blinked.
He blinked.
He blinked. He blinked. He blinked. This is a written speech, right? Like, let's watch that again. This is a written speech. So she's rehearsed this. Like the crying, the thing. The saying blinked again and whispering, saying it loud. She blinked. He blinked. And then just whispering it. This is all rehearsed. This is, she's reading a speech. This is her bullshit thing that she's come up with, right? I mean, the guy's only dead 9 days, and she's performing this. And so, go back here for a second.
And then he blinked. He blinked.
Don't blink, Charlie. Charlie, don't fucking blink, Charlie. Why are you blinking, Charlie? Fuck it, don't blink. Charlie, you know what happens when you blink. Charlie blinked me.
And saw his Savior in paradise.
All right, so as soon as you saw this speech, you knew, like, there was a certain type of personalities. This would be Southern Christian, rural Christian, not city living Christian women who may or may not watch Desperate House, one of those Real Housewives type show or the Christian version of that, right? Where people are very performative and fake, people who maybe they're into beauty contests and beauty contestants, and they're dumb as fuck, right? Low consciousness, that they would believe this kind of thing, or they expect people. They don't expect real from people. They expect performances, right? They expect drama and performances. When someone says I love you, it's it's to get something. They don't expect sincerity. They don't expect real grief, real emotion. And this isn't for smart people. This is for dumb fucking people. Christians and people who, maybe simple people, and maybe necessarily not bad people, but low consciousness people, right? Because anybody who can read people and see sincerity and see authenticity, anybody with critical thinking skills, go, this bitch is crazy. Because again, she's introducing herself to the nation. She's already had some weird events. She had a weird speech like this already in Charlie's office 3 days after he was dead, assuming his position. And there's no grieving here, it's all performative, right? So all the people who are like Trump, who, smart enough and cynical, any cynical people, any people who, any people out there in the media, I mean, Megyn Kelly, any of those people, fucking Tucker Carlson, they know this is fake. Like they're not going, oh my God, she's so grieving. She's such a good griever. Oh, she really misses her Charlie. Like, this is all fake as fuck. They know it's fake as fuck. And if they don't call it out, even Candace Owens, who wouldn't call it out back then, I mean, they know, like, this is weird. they know this fucking cunt is weird. Everyone who saw this, they're like, oh my God, what the hell is this, right? And so they're either grifting on the same dumb fucks like Trump is, so they're not going to call her out, and they don't want to look bad calling out a grieving widow. And so, they come out and support her, and they say all these things. All the other speakers, all these people, they're smart enough to know this is a fucking act. This is some beauty contest act, right, with her bullshit stuff. Don't blink, Charlie. Charlie, don't blink. Fucking don't blink, Charlie. Charlie, don't blink, Charlie. Like, just fucking weird as fuck, right? And, people who are in a state of shock maybe, but, if you go back and look at it, right away that she is not going after people with critical thinking skills. She's not going after people who want sincerity and want authenticity and, people who would look at this and see it's totally performative. She doesn't give a shit about any of those people. Whatever, or she's trying to provoke those people. Like she's immediately trying to divide people, like the people who, know this is fake but think that fake is real. Like this is what a woman's supposed to do. She's supposed to go up there and put on a big performance. Like this is some B-movie cunt that comes up there that nobody likes. Like, this isn't a hero like in a movie. If some guy dies, this is his fake fucking, wife who's just ka-chinging up the money, probably killed him. Like you'd see some murder mystery, fucking cunt on the Orient Express, right? Kind of thing. And, the husband dies and she comes out and she starts crying and she's all made up and she's, banging the busboy, like she's, doing all kinds of fucking performative shit. Nobody likes her. And she's the prime suspect because she's getting all the money. Like this is what, immediately she defined herself as performing for dumb fucks and being insincere and not really grieving Charlie and being a money grabbing whore, whatever the fuck, you want to say about that.
And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him. God's love continued to be revealed to me in the days that followed. The next day on the tarmac in Air Force Two,
he's going to talk about Usha here.
I confronted Usha Vance, precious woman.
Confronted her? Are you sleeping with JD again? That's my JD. That's my JD. My JD. Precious woman, Usha.
I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I am going to get through this.
Oh, maybe you could...
She told me something.
What'd she say?
She said, when you're on an airplane with your kids and it's the last 15 minutes of the flight and things are crazy, kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere and everyone's screaming, and you think to yourself, I cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. And she told me, you will get through these 15 minutes.
Look at her fake eyes. Look at her crazy fake fucking eyes.
And the next 15 minutes after that. Usha, I don't think you realized it then, but those words were exactly what I needed to hear.
It's not nearly the same. Your kids fucking being shitty on an airplane is not anything like your husband getting shot in the fucking neck and bleeding out in front of everybody. Like, it's not, what are you talking about? Like, the one thing's like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. These kids are a fucking mess. Whatever the fucking shit. You go through shit with your kids. There's, that's not fucking PTSD, trauma, grieving. My husband, fucking love of my life, is dead. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's a weird fucking story. It's a weird thing to say. Like it's what she said. Plus, has Erica Kirk does she even have fucking kids? Like, how many times has she been on a plane with kids? I mean, she doesn't let people take the pictures of their faces. What kind of plane are they on? Are they on fucking private jets? I mean, that's, and she just had, she has a really small child. So, but I mean, just weird. Like, just in making this thing so dramatic, so fucked up, right? Like, it's just what I needed to hear.
But most of all, God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence.
Okay, so it's not an assassination if it's just some random furry dude. That's not an assassination. Assassination is what happens when you have governments and people, this is a murder, right? This is a fucking straight up murder. They're not charging the guy with assassination, right? They're not charging him. They're charging him with murder, not assassination, right? This isn't a hitman. This isn't a government hires somebody to assassinate somebody. This is, this is a straight up murder, based in the official story. I mean, if it's an assassination, if Israel did it, like that would be something different, right? That's like state-sponsored, Mossad, CIA, Trump, his cunt wife, coming together and saying, yeah, let's whack this guy and fucking, I get his business, like that's what okay, can I be CEO? Yeah, sure. And then the rest, they do the rest of the stuff. Only if this is what you're supposed to do. Okay, yeah, I'll do whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't have any fucking morals, integrity. I don't have a moral compass, right? And so, as soon as she came out here, everyone knew that she was fake. I mean, everyone knew beforehand because this was her third appearance. The thing with Usha was weird. The thing with his casket and Usha was weird. That was day one. Then day three, the thing with his, maybe it's day two with the casket. Day three was her speech that she gave in his, in his office, on his show. She went on his show, right? They got Tucker Carlson to host one episode. They got Gady Vance to host the other one. Okay, Gady Vance maybe host the first one. And then Andrew Covert stepped in, and she came in and said, yeah, I'm not going to be on this show, but we have plenty of video of Charlie, which they've never shown any of that shit. And now it's the Andrew and Blake. Andrew Covert and his little pal Blake. Like that's, so they wrecked that shit, like fucking pissing everybody off. And she showed that she was incapable of grieving properly. First of all, her becoming CEO and her doing this publicly and her hobnobbing and name dropping and being around more important people and now taking the lead role superseded any real grief that she had. We know that she had a meeting with her staff, and she fake cried for a little bit, but then she was laughing, and she said everyone grieves differently. So behind the scenes, she was laughing, and she wasn't laughing like she did here, where she does those weird laughs, making like this isn't this funny? It's not. Fuck, it's totally not funny. It's not something people laugh at. But she fake cried, and I kept on saying, when is she going to stop fake crying? Like, when is she going to show up for an interview and not cry? And that day hasn't reached yet, because she's still doing that shit. She's still acting like a victim, still crying. And then there was a comedian in whiteface, still crying, still fucking, overly emotional. And, she was already cunting it up after, like, fucking day two. She wasn't fucking grieving. She wasn't being sincere. She wasn't being authentic. Didn't appear that they even liked each other, like, when the shit came out. And maybe the marriage wasn't real. He looked kind of gay. She's had these weird interactions with girls. Just she's all over the place. She's tried to be famous. She's tried to pop. Reality TV, multiple attempts on the internet, trying to pop, trying to get famous. And then she, married Charlie Kirk, and then now she's CEO, which nobody knows what the fuck that means because she certainly isn't the talent, but she isn't good at administration. She's supposed to be a mom, a stay-at-home mom, but that's like whatever's going on with that, right? And so this is like when Erica Kirk was defined. Everyone had seen her by this time, and, only the dumbest of fucks believed that she was sincere and authentic. So again, she's reading a speech here.
The men wasting their lives on distractions and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate. Charlie wanted to help them.
He did. He wanted to help them. He liked helping young men. Just like Blake and Andrew and Tyler, or whatever his name is. All those guys. They really like Mikey McCoy. They always like helping young men. These guys, they really helped men. Charlie was helping young men sometimes 2-3 times a day.
He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. And when he went onto campus,
Remember that kid? He had a video. He worked for Turning Point, and he had a video, and he was doing an interview. He was telling him what he saw, and 3 Turning Point thugs came out and told him to stop the interview, and they started pushing back at each other. Yeah, that young man. Remember, it came out Tyler, whatever his name is. And don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. Like, who gives a fuck? But he was the guy who introduced Erica to Charlie, and he had hired most of the people. Tyler Boyer. And Candace Owens said she had info where he was hitting on young men interns. Candace Owens a liar, but, it's totally believable. And there was all this gay stuff there, and there were Republican people who are anti-gay, anti-trans, and yet it seems like everyone who works there is gay. A lot of twinks over there.
he was looking to show them a better path and a better life that was right there for the taking. He wanted to show them that.
So, like this is the kind of stuff that a beauty queen would do, where they come out and they, they're not authentic. They're not real. It's a weird fucking thing. Those beauty pageants are always fucking weird. But the worst part is when they talk about current events and politics and religion, and they're so performative. And, they think that they've been trained to act this way. Like she's an actress. It said she was an actress. She was in music videos, right? A model. She did all that shit. Like after she won Miss Arizona, she worked for the CIA, did some promos for them. I mean, she's all over the fucking place. But very performative and not really knowing, over the top, right? Like weirdly over the top.
Husband Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life.
Boom. Like, look at him. Look at that fucking, the fake fucking crazy eyes. Stay like, again, dramatic pause. She's rehearsed this. She's reading a script. She's written a speech, or, she's got a team of people. And this is her, like, look at the irony here. Look at the fucking irony. He was trying to save that man. He would have saved that guy. And plus, the guy was already into furry trannies. So, like, so Charlie, him could have got along real well, but, they're like, are we supposed to applaud here? She's being ironic, and they're being more ironic. I think we're supposed to applaud here. Let's say put up the applause sign. Like, that he wanted to save the young man that shot him. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Again, you're tainting the jury. There was no indication this guy was guilty. I mean, this is, the guy isn't going to be tried for another year now. The evidence is completely sketch. Like, this all was weird because Trump wanted to give him the death penalty. And they're both convicting this guy, preventing him from any, the justice system from giving a fair trial. There's no way they knew he was guilty, right? She said she didn't even want to see, she didn't see him get shot. Do you think, watching him get shot was too much for her? Maybe she was going to feel guilty, or whatever. But she didn't like, all of the stuff. And so she was already looking through the evidence and, was already sure this guy was guilty. But this was the big thing. So she's, and I said this when it happened, she made a decision to forgive the guy, but she wanted to do it in public. It wasn't like she just forgave him on her own, in private. People struggle with this for years. I mean, she can't forgive some, comedian in whiteface for dressing up like her. Like, she can't forgive that person. She can't forgive Candace Owens, but she can forgive the guy who shot her husband. It's a furry-loving guy. Woo!
That young man.
That young man. That young man. That young man.
That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do.
She botched me. They not know what they do. They not know. They not know what they do. Father, they not know what they do. Father, they not know what they do. That's the best part. She butchers this is the Jesus line, right? they know not what they do is what she should have said. But they know not what they do. Father, Father.
For they not know what they do. That man.
That young man.
That young man.
That young man. That young man.
I forgive him.
I forgive him. I forgive him. I do in public. My big speech. It's my big moment. My big moment. I forgive him. I forgive him. I do. Fucking weird as fuck. And then that fake crying. Remember this shit? Like, what the fuck's she doing? Like, it's scripted. She wrote there. So she's like, and again, this is a very private thing. I mean, you might hate and have anger towards a person that killed your spouse for your rest of your life. You might wish that person dead. You might, you think about that person. Like, there's a thing that happens to people where you hate somebody so much and you get obsessed with that person. Like, you think about that person all the time. There's a process called constant remembrance in the Sage-Mark meditation where you're supposed to remember God until, you love God. Like, the idea is when you remember something, this was Babaji's language. When you remember something, you eventually love it. The more you think about something, the more you remember it. And so, people who hate people, like, there's a bond there. It becomes obsessed with them, like, stalking them, like all this stuff. And like it's like reverse love, but in some ways they're thinking more about, like there's atheists or people who hate God and think about God all the time. In some ways they're thinking about God even though they hate God, because there's something happened bad in their life, right? And so, like you can get caught in a loop of hatred that your whole life becomes about that. It turns you into a resentful person. And when anybody talks to you, all they do is feel anger and hatred. So like that's the kind of shit that can happen when somebody in a traumatic way takes something away from you. But 10 days in, on cue, she's written a speech and she's like, all right, here's the big moment when I forgive this guy who we have like sketchy evidence at best. And what happens if the guy ends up not, like they find some evidence that the guy doesn't, they hadn't even, been indicted. They weren't, they had arrested him in these things, but it wasn't like they had set trial yet, and it wasn't like it was a slam dunk. And even now, it's like really sketchy. Like it's even less believable. And what happens if it isn't this guy? What happens to Israel? Do you got to do another speech and say forgive Israel, forgive Netanyahu, or forgive Trump? What if it's something else, right? But like you have to make sure it's that person. This person didn't confess. He wasn't dead and killed at the scene of this crime where he shot, Charlie. They shot him. And they was like, yeah, this is the guy. And so, but this was just so fucking fake, right? Look at this fucking guy crying. Look at these dumb fucks out there. Just look at, like, are you that fucking clueless? Like, how do you think this is real? Like, how do you possibly think this fucking bitch is really sincere in this speech he's written? Like, this is embarrassing to the human race. You're embarrassing the rest of us. I can understand if you're like, oh my God, I gotta get up and clap for this cunt, this fake insincere cunt. Like, some of these people know it's bullshit, and they're just going along with it. But some of them, these motherfuckers are crying. I can't take it. Oh my God. I forgive him. Look at her. What did I say? What's the theme of this fucking video? I forgot already. Inconsequential shit. Wasting your life, wasting your time on inconsequential shit. These people, like they believe in this stuff. Just like there's nothing here. Like this is, is Charlie was he even ever alive? Like, is he a real person? Certainly their marriage doesn't seem real. And she's in on it. Like, when this case blows up, it turns out this kid isn't convicted. I mean, I'm sure he will be, but a year from now, who knows if there will even be a fucking America by then. The way it's being run into the ground, the way that everything's going. But, let's say he doesn't get convicted, right? And so where the fuck is she? That means that she's in on it, right? Like all these people who push and try to force this narrative and, it's fucked. Like, so at this moment, everyone should know, like when this speech came out and before it, like we first introduced Erica Kirk as a character in what I call the show, that Erica Kirk wasn't out there for critical thinkers. She wasn't out there for truthers. She wasn't out there for people who, want sincerity, want authenticity. She is fake as fuck and weird, and she didn't love her husband, not in any way that, that anybody else would call love. And she was grabbing his fucking shit, his business, and his, assets. And she clearly was, complicit in this debacle or whatever it is. That she's a player in this thing. And either they intentionally made her suck this bad because they wanted this to be divisive. They planned the Candace Owens and, just like her speech is planned. Everything that's happened since then seems to be following some sort of pattern for whatever reason. The easy answer is always a distraction. And yeah, maybe that's true, but I don't, But Jesus Christ, right?
Buckle up, everybody. Here we go.
So Trump posted this on his page, and he's showing a mini George Washington around. Now Trump wears lifts. They've made him slimmer. He doesn't have that big diaper that you can see now when he walks around. There's a video of him walking around with the diaper. I chose not to show it to you. But apparently George Washington was 6'3". The person who wrote this, because I noticed this right away when I saw it, and then I scrolled up, and the person was saying George Washington is 6'3". Donald Trump wears lifts. He's like 5'11", 6 foot. And so, but he made George Washington much smaller than him. Like, okay, so here it is, the diaper video. I scrolled down, it was still there, so. He's sporting some kind of a fucking, he's got an extra big diaper. Fuck. I'm in the diaper boy. Okay, so this is Sarah Miller or somebody who used to be a former Trump person.
Issue here is too that he's focusing on this.
Like he was a part of his administration maybe the first time around or recently, I don't know.
Instead of other issues facing our country, he's also stealing taxpayer money to pay for it and funneling it from other funds. And one of those being the Secret Service. He's taking over $400 million in funding that was appropriated by Congress for Secret Service to hire and train new agents. So it's just appalling to me.
But who needs fucking Secret Service when they can hire those WWE actors and Trump can hide in fucking catering cars?
That this is what he's doing. He should be going through the process of getting Congress to appropriate these funds for these renovations. He tried and he failed, and now he has to steal it from other funds for the taxpayer.
I guess, shut up, Goy. In a weird turn of events, CNN is now featuring Alex B. Jones.
This is absolutely out of control, and so I'm calling for it right now.
I'm calling for it right now. Yeah, I am. Time to suck some ding-dongs.
25th Amendment, impeachment, whatever needs to happen to get
impeachment now, ding-dongs later.
Get this front and center to get control of our country.
Throughout Donald Trump's tenure, former owner of InfoWars, Alex Jones, has
former owner, that fucking just why kick a guy when he's down? Look at that thing.
Occasionally wavered in his support of the president. For the most part, the far-right radio host has been an ally, but the Iran war looks to be a turning point.
They want us in a total war so they can censor and take our freedoms and nationalize everything and push us aside with AI, total liability, immunity and protection. This is a disaster. We are facing tyranny, but the public's awakening.
In April, some lawmakers floated using the 25th Amendment to oust Trump after his threats toward Iran escalated. Jones said those removal efforts were warranted. Trump has maintained his actions against Iran are lawful and necessary.
Like, they're bringing Alex Jones in CNN. Like, Here, and this is what the MS Now is doing this.
It's literally insider trading.
It's Kashi. You
Maybe
can bet
I'm
on
wrong.
everything you can fix.
Yeah.
Wait a
You
minute,
fix your
is
own
that
bets.
real?
Is that real? Is that real, bro?
You get access to a tweet before he makes it, and then you could bet on that tweet? How's that
So
legal?
they're talking about Trump's had this thing on Truth Social where he was selling for $100,000 a program where you would get access to the tweets before they came out, so you could buy stocks based on the effects of the tweet. Which, of course, it is inside trader, and whether it's legal or not, that's possibly debatable. We don't know. I don't know the rules or the law, but it should be illegal, right?
Legal.
And it's completely fucked that the president's doing that. That he has, it's fucked that Trump has something called Truth Social, when Elon Musk is clearly, Twitter is Trump's. I mean, it's just Trump now owns his own version of Twitter, and it went up to a $2 billion valuation when he got elected. It's going to be worth dick when he's done, right? Like, it'll plummet because no one's going to be using that shit when Trump goes away.
We'll see.
Wait a minute, what is this? Trump sued over Truth Social advance access sale.
Look at him online in the Oval Office.
Who's
It's so
telling
good.
him this is a good idea? I feel like I need
Nobody's
to be closer
telling him
to him.
You need to be closer to him, Joe. Is that what you need?
It's like an experiment to, I don't know, watch them open their eyes and see the guy they cheered to the presidency for who he really.
Okay. Are you gonna, after you did what you did with Joe Biden? Plus, you was a John McCain guy, Songbird McCain. You got nothing to say. I mean, Trump is bigger and better in terms of being a piece of shit, but they're all pieces of shit, right? He's just better at it and louder.
Is. It's not a terrible question, right? Who's telling Trump it's a good idea? That was, of course, Joe Rogan and Shane.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is. They pretty much just tell him what, they never disagree with him.
Gillis, uber famous podcaster and comedian, respectively, this afternoon, just shooting the you-know-what, talking about the
What are they shooting?
latest corruption, latest service being offered by
How
Donald
is she on TV? How is this hag on TV?
Trump's social media company that now allows customers, people who pay for it, to gain access to Trump's market-moving missives on Truth Social for a mere $100,000.
There's somebody coming up here. Look, this little dude.
One of the groups that filed that suit against Truth Social.
All right, so there's that. Actually, I had a joke here.
That this is flagrantly illegal at the time. Are they legally exposed?
Hard to say, Nicole. I mean, again, it depends on.
Shouldn't you be babysitting Scooby and Shaggy? It's Velma. It's the real Velma in MS Now. Like, it's just so bad. All the best people. Okay, so my headache's going. I feel a lot better. So fucking flooded out there like crazy. My wife and I just went for a walk, actually a couple hours ago. And, we have this pond that the water can head to. And, on the whatever you call the blueprints, the whatever it is that they have with the property, there was these what they call tiles where water was supposed to flow in that direction towards where we eventually dug the pond. It was the wettest area. There was already, when the pasture flooded, that was the place that was the wettest. So we had the pond dug there. And the guy didn't do such a good job. We got it done fairly cheaply. Like, the guy was half the price of somebody who kind of does it, more professionally. And the guy didn't move enough clay around, so the pond only holds water in the deepest part. And the pond, which is kind of a good thing, because then the algae doesn't build up, and then, every spring it would get a lot more influx of pond water. Of course, now we have cattails. But the fucking thing is just, the whole pasture's flooded, like I haven't seen in the summer ever. Crazy. So, I think there's some kind of auspicious. I feel a lot better. I'm in better spirits. But I still stand by my nonsensical bullshit because, almost everything's just a waste of time. Like if you're looking at something, and I do this all the time, and you guys probably can hear me say it, where I'm like, okay, so this is basically over. The story is, nothing's going to change anything. Trump could pretty much say anything, and he could, I guess there's some things he couldn't say, certainly things against Israel and some of these other things. But for the most part, he can say the most outlandish things, and people just accept it. That's what Trump does. It's no big deal. He got his grifting money, and he's, he's eating McDonald's his whole fucking adult life. He ain't lasting well into his 80s, right? He'll probably die shortly after leaving office. People go off a cliff health-wise. We've already seen some signs of his bruising and some of his other bullshit. So the chances are Trump's just going to disappear. But, what he leaves behind and what the Democrats and Republicans are shitting out right now, it's ridiculous. Like, these people are just, they're the worst of the worst. Politics will get less and less enjoyable to watch. Less and less entertaining. But at some point, our society will go over the cliff. It just will. And, when that happens, it's going to be like, well, what did you prepare for? I'm not talking just about skills and things like that. Like what have you been doing with your time, right? Like this, we have free time. That's one of the great things about our society. As much as people complain about their jobs, people have a lot more free time in America than other places. Some places, some places have a similar economy. But regardless of, the amount of free time, you have it. And what do you do with it, right? And most of it's just paying attention to nonsensical shit that doesn't mean anything. There's real tragedies and real things that happen in a person's life. And they regret and as people get older, they regret all the time they wasted. Time is your true currency. I've talked about that before. You get paid for your time. Your work, sure, but your time as well. Like your time is a part of that. And so, for some period of time, you have to be, you punch in a, in the time card, right? That's like you punch into into your job, and it's measuring how long you spend there, right? Like your time is, you're paying them, they're paying you to give away your time, and during that time they can tell you what the fuck to do. Depending on how abusive your boss is and how good the job is and how much you're willing to accept. But you're selling your time. And so when you do have your own time, when your time isn't being sold to somebody else, then, you have your relationships and your things like that. And sometimes you get to do what you want. Sometimes you don't, given your personal relationships and whatever. Given all those things, if something important happens or that you realize, hey, I was supposed to do shit, like I was supposed to do things, I was supposed to connect with my soul, I was supposed to make progress, I was, I fucked off my whole life and now I got nothing to show for it. Especially when people die and they realized all the things that they thought that they enjoyed or thought would be great, or all the disappointing things that they anticipated, but when everything shook out, it sucked, and all these things. And this is how it goes. So, most of the things are nonsensical. You look at this shit I cover on a daily basis. It's nonsensical bullshit. Like, how could it possibly mean anything? Like, how could any of this stuff really be important? Like, if you got these ass clowns and all these people talking about it, like, how could any of it be important? If those are the people, these fucking non-existing people are just, they're caricatures. Like I was saying about Erica Kirk and the rest of the grifters. As soon as they open their mouth, you're like, all right, these people aren't talking to smart people. They're not trying to appeal to smart people. They're not, they're not having a backstory. They're not having anything that makes any sense or holds together. They just go out there and bullshit, and say things that are, 100% not believable, right? And, once they do that, they're just worthless pieces of shit, because usually they're smart themselves, or they, maybe they're not smart enough to hold a smart people audience, but they're smart enough to understand the difference and the distinction, and they understand what dumb people and people with low consciousness is the best way to say it. Like, they just don't have the ability to see through all the bullshit. Like, you see a lot of bad content, you start watching a movie and you're like, oh, this movie's for dumb people, and you can or a TV show, and you can either laugh at it, you can do any number of things, but what you're not going to do is sit down and enjoy it, because there's too many plot flaws and too much bullshit. Like, you can enjoy it by making fun of it. You can, not watch it at all, but you're not going to, like, be mesmerized by it like so many of these other dopes. And it shows you how, like, stupid the majority of people are. And so that's where we're at. And most people are just, they're just treading water mentally and, consciously. Most of the life is just, like, too complex, and they can't understand shit. They show up here and they leave comments like, blaming me because they're stupid, like, because they can't understand what I'm saying. It isn't like this is rocket science and you have to have some really high IQ or something to understand what I say here. but you need a certain level of consciousness because, people think in like, template ways or, based in some belief system that they have or group they identify with. And they'll think, all right, this is the things I believe. Pro-life, pro-gun, all the stuff that they they've been told their whole life. And yeah, Iran is bad. I'm pro-Israel, and Iran is bad. And we should go after Iran. Like whenever asked about Iran or any of these countries, we should definitely take them out, right? Because they've been told these things. They watch Fox News, and they're told those things. That liberals are told, that there's more than one gender. The severe liberals, and they have these various different beliefs, and they can't think for themselves, and they want to be a part of a group, and so they go to a No Kings rally or they go to a pro-life rally, or whatever these different things, and they never think about any other position. They don't never question the authority, and then they just want people to say the things that they, the beliefs that they have, because they have very simplistic thoughts, rules of what's important and what they believe in, and they just want someone like Trump to come in and say the things that they believe, and then they go yay, whoa, yay, whoa, they go. If you go to Iowa, you have to say things about farming, and they have some rule that they're bummed about, like they want corn and ethanol. They want ethanol and gas. They want to make it mandatory so that their surplus corn will be used for gas, right? People in, some other place it's about, salmon industry in Seattle or something. I don't even know, right? Like everyone has their different, things that are important to them, and rules and, environmental policy and things are a big difference to them. And everybody in the area knows about it. Coal miners, whatever, like Trump was talking about. And so they all have the things that they're important, and they just want you to hear. They want to hear you say, "Yeah, we're gonna vote. We're gonna make sure the law that you want passed and the policies you want passed are gonna be there." And then that's how you win their vote. You say something. Maybe both people say the same thing. For there's like stuff about guns and Second Amendment. It depends on what people are important to people. But they don't ever think about what's best for everybody or what's best for their kids or the future. They just, they know what they're supposed to believe. They're fans of the sports team and, the local sports team, and they all, say say the same cheers. And, in Ohio, they say OHIO. There's a great clip. I tried to find it where Mitt Romney and his dopey, when he's running for president, and he gets them to say, he goes OH, and the rest of the people go IO. And he goes, isn't that great? And him and the vice president are talking about how wonderful that is. And I'm like, fucking talk about it's fucking stupid. Like, it's a 4-letter word. Why are you spelling it, right? It's one of the few states almost everybody can spell. So, I mean, it would be good if they did Mississippi or some shit, but they don't. But anyways, there's nonsensical bullshit. That's what I talk about here. When I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about, this is all that I'm saying, this kind of stuff. It's nonsensical bullshit. It's stuff that, people hear, but it's not said with any sincerity. It's just bullshit. People are said, they're selling you something. It's like if you go in, there's a salesman and he tells you how great you are and, and complimenting you. And none of the shit that matters until the sales pitch, right? Like none of the things that they're saying ahead of that, to soften, your objections to, buying something that's so expensive or whatever it might be, right? Like, you look at commercials and, you look at pharmaceutical commercials, which I watch all the time. They say all the things about side effects because they have to. That's kind of the most important thing. But it's, and that's what, like, you get the part that you should hear. Like, other industries don't have to listen to the side effects. And they don't have to say, yeah, we've been completely bullshitting you. We've been manipulating you. We're putting things in here that we know will make you want our product. And, we're manipulating you in the commercial, and we're manipulating you in our packaging and, all these things. And the food has, things that make you addicted to it, so you come back for more. Chemicals that, that make you want more. And, we do all these things. And so they're not telling you that like they do with the side effects. And even with the side effects, they tell you in such a way that it's hard for you to take it seriously. But there's the real thing. There's the when somebody gets to the nitty gritty, and all the bullshit they wrap around their one true statement, the one thing that they're trying to get out of you, or the one thing they're trying to sell you, or whatever it might be, right? And so, and all the rest of it's just nonsensical bullshit. Like, so many words don't have to be said, so many ideas don't need to be expressed, so many feelings and emotions don't need to be expressed. Like, most of it's just bullshit. Anyways, I'm getting a little tired here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I might add some more clips in towards the end of this thing, but probably not. I'll probably just put this up tonight, and and I'll whatever. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.